So how you doing, Denku? What's up, man? Busy,
Chilling,
busy,
man.
busy.
Enjoying my little 2 day off thing before the regular grind thing, and then diving back into more
Let me adjust
music,
my
man.
room. My room's off. My room's off thing 'cause I wasn't even on camera, so we getting this all. Y'all getting it all natural. There at home. Okay, there we go. This is how it's supposed to look. All right, cool. Yeah, sorry. You were what? You were doing what now?
Oh, I just been chilling, man. Pretty much all day. I finally watched the new Matrix.
What did you think?
See, I liked it. I didn't mind it at all. I know a lot of people were hating on it, but I actually I thought it followed. I thought it set up a good storyline based off the first three. I know a lot of people were like, "Oh, there's too many flashbacks," but I think it was cool to incorporate the flashbacks so people knew where they were going with different things. I understand people were, a lot of people didn't like that. You know, Lawrence Fishburne wasn't in it, which I wanted him in the movie. But I actually think I can't remember the actor's name, man. The guy that played Morpheus.
Yeah, he
But
looked like I thought I haven't seen it yet, so please don't give it too much because
oh
we
yeah,
all
yeah,
are. If
yeah.
you're from the area, you know what
But
that is.
yeah, but you know what? Like
Um,
I actually
but
really
that
enjoyed it
guy's
as
real
well.
good. He looked good.
Yeah, it is
He
good.
looked good. I saw the pre stuff. Me and director Austin were talking about it because I know he saw it the night he saw it. He watched it at home, and I watched all the pre stuff because I was a geek. I actually saw the premiere of the first Matrix at a huge theater that we have out here. Like I was one of those people like Star Wars. I'm not making it up. I saw it opening day before the hype. Like I was one
Mm.
of those people. I saw the second run in Vaughan, which is a city just north of Toronto. You know that big theater there, Colossus? Huh? I
Yep.
went to there. It's a big
Woodbridge.
theater right by big by our Disney World, Paramount Wonderland. It's like up around there, right? Huge, and we didn't know. We just heard this vibe, man. Me and all my best friends. So it's actually one of the best memories of my life because I got to come out of the theater and get on the phone and just have that energy when you see that. So I can't wait. I know it's hard.
But
I
you
didn't
know
even
what?
get a chance
This
to
one,
talk to Austin. What do you think about it? You
so
saw it.
so
You
this
guys
one I
too.
really liked. I actually enjoyed it, but my wife sat there and said I couldn't enjoy it because the whole time I was going, I have no clue what's going on right now. I have no clue what's going on right now. And that's a lot of the feedback that people are giving online. But if you really look into it, it all made sense. The whole story made sense with
Hmm.
the flashbacks and all that. So I did actually enjoy watching it.
Yeah, I figure there's no way they're gonna break the timeline. That thing is the whole thing about it is timeline, right? It's like that whole kind of. There's a couple of shows like that. You ever watch Fringe? Fringe is like, you guys ever see Fringe?
No.
You want a
No, I
dope
never
show to
watched it.
watch? Oh, go back and watch Fringe. Fringe is like time. It's like when Star Trek had that final episode and they had the three times going at once.
Hmm.
You know that final one with Picard, and then remember how it was in that one? That's how this whole show is. But the actor that plays the main guy in it, he's insane. He's as good as the dude from Game of Thrones that played the short dude that has all the money. It gets out of all the jams. He's one of those kind of British actors. But the
Peter
whole time,
Dinklage.
past,
Yeah.
present, future. Yeah, it's the whole past. But this show's amazing. Fringe is dope. If y'all, I could lend you Director Austin if you up here. I got the DVDs. I got it. I got the whole thing. You can watch it. If you put it in, you guys will watch it. It's like 5 seasons.
DVDs. Who has DVD players
Dude,
anymore?
it's from like 7 years, 6 years ago. So our family's avid collectors of movies. You know those houses you go to the movie club? It's
Yeah.
on my girl's side. Oh my gosh. That's not me, but I call it the house of TVs. There must probably like 15 TVs in that house, man. It's
I
crazy.
got mad Blu-rays, and
Yeah,
I
they
actually
got
have,
Blu-ray. That's what I'm saying. The Blu-ray,
and I
that's what we have. Yeah, the
yeah,
Sony. We had a
yeah, I
PSP,
got
so it's the Sony. I said DVDs, you know what it's a CD.
yeah,
Even that, like Blu-rays, who has those, right? Even for gaming now, you know what I mean? Digital, download, everything's online. Like we're not really, but I still get the hardware for the good games because of that reason we talked about at the beginning. And that's one of the things you should do. You should always have like a hard drive, 2 terabyte, 1 terabyte, 4 terabyte hard drives, good investment. And if you got all your favorite stuff on, you could download it on YouTube and all that stuff. Download some stuff. When one of them things comes, it's like how COVID is right now. A lot of us were lucky, right? I think how we get busy because how do we do what we did? Because we had everything at home. I could have never recorded that record with you. We did a record, y'all, and we could have never done it the way we did it if everyone didn't have everything at home.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
we'll get into the technology, but just before we keep going, let's just do a brief little introduction here. As everyone's listened already, we've already started the show. We've already started talking and getting into a few things. But we're welcoming Denku onto the show, an MC for 20 plus years. He's also the host of Pick Apart the Passion podcast. He's had Thrust on his show as well. Welcome to the Northern Touch Show.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
I'm glad we finally did this, right? We've been trying to do this for how long? We had this for a while. It's like when your friends are your neighbors, you never see them and they move like 20 miles away and you see them every weekend. I don't know why. Is it true?
Well, it's good. It's good because we have the Northern Touch Show on our show. We have a variety show, so it's not all about music artists, right? So it's good to actually get an artist on now that we can talk to about music and the industry and all that stuff. Rather than just what we basically feature, which is, anything and everything in between.
Yeah, this is a Rogan-esque kind of show, just so you know, Denku. A lot of people hear the name. It's from one of the most infamous songs in Canada, in a sense. And I was on the track, and everyone looks at the show first. Oh, it's going to be a show with a bunch of MCs and all that. But that was never our aim. We wanted to take another ride. So we're actually really one of the first, real, artists, rappers I had on, really on the show. Because the other artists, that's true, they were all just most producers. They were producer rappers. But you probably produced too, so who am I to say? He's probably in that bag too, because this man is talented. I know this man is talented, so we'll get into it. But yeah, it's a pleasure to have you on. And it's just a pleasure to, get to know you a little while. A lot of people seen our names on tracks, but they didn't even know how we met, and it's just the whole story. And I'm looking forward to this because I get to know your story. I really don't know. I know a bit of your story, but I'd love to learn it. So, Tom, you have any, Director Austin, anything you wanted to jump the interview off with? Any little questions?
Well, I just want to say to Denku, thank you for coming on the show. And why don't you give everybody a brief description of what you do, what your show is about as well, how many albums you've released. Just give us a brief background on everything about you.
Yeah. Full MC name's Tayamudenko Moniker, shortened to Denku. A lot of people shorten it to Denku because they can't do the whole thing. I've done a lot of tons of shows, tons of tours. I've had people misspell my name on tour flyers for years. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, man, I've been rhyming, doing music about 26 years. I got over almost 35 records out, not including random singles. I also engineer everything myself, mix and master everything myself. One of the big projects I got to do was 25th. I'm looking at it now. I can't think of the record's name, but I got to do a mix and master of a 25th year anniversary Das Effects album that they re-released.
That's dope.
So yeah, I did that.
Did you just the positive? Because that's one of the areas that I wanted to a lot of people, because people don't know. I heard even some of the most known artists saying people don't understand how much work we do behind the scenes. And that's one thing I know about you.
Yeah.
And how did you go to school for all that? You self-taught for all that? How did you? Because that's a whole other task to be able to do that and then, create, right?
Yeah, no, so when I was actually looking into going to college and shit like that, I do have my bachelor's, but it's in graphic design, which is why I do I could do covers and all that shit. I put my own CD layouts together and stuff like that. But my mom's was like, oh yeah, I don't want you going to school for music. So I ended up just going for graphic design, which didn't fucking get me a job. Didn't get me a job in graphic design though. I'm but I'm able to do all that stuff myself. And then over the years of making music, I started out in Cool Edit Pro and then gradually transitioned into learning Pro Tools. And I've been on Pro Tools, I think the last 10 to 15 years where I've been mixing and mastering on there. But yeah, I self-taught everything. I didn't
just dabble, yeah. But I think graphic design makes sense too because you're used to Photoshop, Illustrator, the Adobe's, and all that.
Yep.
So if you use that kind of gear, I have a magazine background too. I don't know if people know I did a hip hop magazine, so that's where a lot of this came from too, right? And it helped a lot, like in the studio. So I found the programs at that time, especially if you were doing it in the mid '90s time. Well, a lot of people are on it. You can figure that out. Then now it's pretty much the same thing. Like you run straight through. Same way how a Kai, if you want a Kai from way back then, you jump on the ones now and you run kind of thing, right? So that's cool, man. I never knew that. See, information, man. Yeah, so that's cool. So what you did that. So when did you? When was the moment that you was like, you know what, man? This is my calling. Like, was there a moment, a song on the radio, a collaboration, did somebody bless you that you was like, yo, I never can't believe this person just said that about my music? What was it that made you? Because you took it serious. The amount of product you have out, I gotta commend you on that too. Your catalog's crazy, man.
Oh,
like a lot of people can't say that. A lot of people can't say that, man. And independent too. Like to be independent.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I jumped from different branding things. But yeah, definitely a majority of everything I've done has been, you know, my own idea, my own, like if I had a label or anything, put anything out of mine, they let me put out what I wanted to put out. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like something where they were, you know, coaching me and telling me what to do. That's not really, like if I ever got in a situation like that, you know, it probably wouldn't last that long because I've been doing independent shit so long. But I would, you know what? I would say it would go all the way back to the beginning of high school for me. And I can remember, I mean, I listened to hip hop before high school, but it wasn't, I mean, I would put together little mixtape things that I would, you know, record things off the radio and put them in order my own way, whatever, how I wanted to do it. But then randomly, I just remember doing like some harmony singing shit and doing making beats on the heaters and in the cafeteria on the tables, making beats and then just rhyming over the beats, just all off top shit, doing that. 14, and then actually I was the person that got asked in all the talent shows, Cinco de Mayo show, Black History Month show. I was the person that they asked to come up and perform like some rap shit because nobody else.
You would have got you were like me in high school, dude. That was that dude too.
Yeah, like nobody.
You become that guy, right? There was the R&B guy. There was the dancing guy. There was the singing girl. Especially that era. There was the dude that could do the hip hop. It was me and Frankenstein. I went to high school with Frankenstein. So we was in the same shit. So it was the same as us. Hey, you guys go. Right? We go up. But that's dope, man. Yeah. So that's what really proud. Then what did you go to like college radio? Were you going down to the radio stations at that time too? Doing that, right? Like how was your city? For us, like that's what I'm saying. That's another thing we wanted to get me and Director Osman talking about earlier. Just to like let people know where you come from and what it's like to come out of there. Like, because I think you coming from where you come, you got to describe that too. It makes the story that much more interesting.
Yeah, I mean Milwaukee's rough as far as getting any type of stamp of approval in the city, really, unless you follow and did whatever trend that people are on. I kind of feel like the thing about here is there's a lot of circles. And if you're not incorporated in those circles and you try to do something yourself, those circles don't really mess with you like that. So then you're seen as kind of the outsider, the outcast person, especially if you continue to do your own thing. And then when you do things that are successful outside of the circles, then you got an entire city of people that don't really, you know, they're like, oh, it's this guy, you know, kind of like, you know, I mean, I definitely have some support here. I'm not going to say I don't have any support, but I'm saying
this,
like,
this is how the city is though. But that's like the code of the city.
Yeah,
The code of the city is the code of the
I'm
city.
saying as far as where I would like the city to fuck with me, it's nowhere near any of that. And as far as like radios here, yeah, there's college stations. I've been on college shows here and there, did a couple interview things here and there once in a while, but they don't
How did you
really,
guys hear it? Like when you were 16, what was your access to getting, did you have to get in the car and do the drive? Was it a neighboring radio station? Like, how did you get your hands on hip hop? Like just in general?
Well, we have, there was a station back in the day. It was called Hot 102. That's where I used to hear him play Biggie, KRS. All the old school classic shit used to get played on there on the regular. Like they used to have mix shows. There's one mix show I remember them where they put together Biggie with Meth Redman with the old Keith Murray Total joint. Like they had that whole transition.
Oh yeah.
Together where they blended all that together. And I never forget that blend, man. I think I recorded that, so I probably still have it somewhere.
They used to do those weekend specials where they do like the 4 turntable mixes and all that crazy stuff.
Yeah, and we still have that's one thing about Milwaukee. There are amazing talented DJs from here. Like a lot. Like there's a lot of amazing talented DJs here that I've seen that could definitely step in the ring with people on turntablism or blends. I know he doesn't really rep here like that, but DJ Abilities lives in Milwaukee. Yeah, he's actually out here. I've actually done tons of shows with that dude. And yeah, there's just a lot of dope DJs out here, man.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get a feel on the city. It's interesting, right? Because we live in such a it's not a global. It's more like a territorial, like tribal kind of thing. Because the music just lets you know where you're from and your accent and resonance, right? The same way you were in our show when we were talking about Canada and Toronto, and it kind of gives you more. Okay, now I see. You know what I mean? Where the music's talking about.
Yeah, what the most popular song I feel like of all time out of Milwaukee is? It's actually pretty trash, but well, I won't say it's trash, but to me, it ain't what I bump. It ain't what I'm into. Much love and success to them, man. Like I'm not even trying to be a hater because it is what it is. It's just not the type of hip hop I'm into. But you remember that song? My Projects by Cuckoo Cal.
Yep.
He's from out here. He's from out here. And that's probably the most popular song from Milwaukee of all time. And that's completely opposite of anything and everything I do.
So how did you manage to connect those dots? This is part of the story I said. 'Cause I know that's what it is, right? So here we have young Denku, 20 years old, hip hop ambitious. You know what I mean? He's not a college dropout. He's fresh out of college though, with the graphics is I could do the crazy covers now. So how did the story go after that? Like when did you record your first record? What was the studio? Your first album? Your first real process. I know that's usually a beautiful thing. You know what I mean? So I put together an independent record. That I actually, I had a printer at the time. I pressed up nice graphics on there. And this was the first solo thing I did. I did this before I even went to college. I put out something in 99. I was handing them out to people over the summertime. It was called Apocalyptic Fury. And actually my name isn't even Taiyamo Denku on it. It's Sandman the Lyrical. Because everybody had the lyrical, the lyrical, so like we're talking about the lyrical miracles. Yeah, the lyrical miracles back in the day. So like that's what I had back in the day, and then I found out there's already an established artist named Sandman. I'm definitely not gonna have a name that anyone has. Period. So then I transitioned. I created the
the Taiyamo Denku moniker, which I mean, in a nutshell, it's basically like this. Just so you know, I got Thai from Tai Chi because I was laid back, battle style, like a laid back fighting style, more defensive.
Yep.
So got Thai from Tai Chi, then I got Yamo. It's basically spelling name improperly in Spanish. I spelled Yamo, and that's because it was just a joke play on the name because everybody thought I was Latin for the longest time. So, but I'm not. But I'm not. So I and it sounded smooth together. So I got Taiyamo from that, and then I got Denku because around the time I came up with the name, everybody was using already established cartoon character names as their rap names. So I was like, well, I want a name that sounds like a cartoon character, but I want to create my own. And then later on, I found it's funny because like I obviously, I picked this name before anything ever happened, but I feel like there was like some kind of cross where there's like two characters that merge together and create Denku. And but I had the name before that ever happened.
It's
but
crazy,
yeah,
man.
but yeah, basically after college, well, when I got into college, I linked up with a group, and the group was named Wastelands, and it was an acronym. And it stood for Wisdom Articulates Serenity Throughout Entities, Living Allah's Nurturing Divine Science. It's a gigantic acronym. We were called Wastelands, me and two other people, Augury, Short Fuse. And we used to go to this studio in Glenview, Illinois. I can't remember the studio name. I have to look at the back of one of our early CDs to actually see the studio name. But yeah, we used to go there. My first thing was Augury took me there and introduced me to Short Fuse because me and Augury, we used to have tons of freestyle sessions in college. I met this whole group of people in college where we used to just get together in the dorm rooms, sit around, play a bunch of random instrumentals, and just go in a freestyle circle. Like that's what we do. Just chilling.
I know
just kicking in college, doing that.
Who cares? Yeah.
And then Augury, me and him got real cool. He was a senior, I was a freshman, and he had taken me to this studio session with him because he was working on a project with Short Fuse, and they were Wastelands. And then I came in there and I was going to do a feature verse for either a song he was doing or something like that. And then after I got done doing the verse, Short Fuse, who was the leader of the group, was basically like, hey, you're dope. I think you should get down with us. At this time, I was just, jumping on whatever opportunity. I didn't know that later on the group thing would not be my thing. You know what I'm saying? Like groups just aren't, it's just, we did a bunch of records. We did a bunch of group records and it was cool for what it was. But a lot of the time, my work ethic was far exceeding what we were doing as a group. And I needed more than that. And that's kind
what I find about groups? Groups is the weirdest. I started in a lot of groups too. Like people knew my name for a long time. That's when we needed to. I was in groups from before I was thrust for maybe 8 years. And they were big groups, some of the biggest groups in Toronto. But the only problem with the groups is they fell apart at the craziest time. Mm-hmm. Like they always fall apart. Like you just go through all the crazy and you just about to get, and then there's for some reason some little thing of dissension, and it's like you back to ground zero. You know what I mean? That's why the way we work. That's why when you first approached me, I said, "Let's do this thing." I said, "Let's do this project." Projects is not a group, right? Project we can meet back in another year and do another project, right? And we can back. Yep. But you don't have the pressure where a group, the pressure of groups is still hold it down. The only groups I find that work really, and if you think about it, and they're still together to this day, are the groups that are actually family and friends from the start. Yeah. You know why? Because when they go through all the bumps and the regular stuff, but that's just part of the grind. You know what I mean?
But I feel
like going to work it out. But you're not going to work it out with somebody you only know for 6 months, and he's giving you some of that. Right?
Very true. Very true. But and you also got to think about groups that are still together and doing their thing together as groups, they also have successful solo careers. They're known,
and they enjoy when the other person goes solo too.
Yeah.
But that's the only way you can do that. That's what I'm saying, right? You can still, a lot of time those groups, like if me and you as blood brothers, I'm happier when you're more successful than me, because we're both on a level of success. We're both eating, right? Once they're both eating, right? You're either both starving or you're both eating. So when you're both starving, you know how to go through it, right? The in between, and then when you're both getting it, you're gonna be happy. One gets a little bit more because one is gonna get a little bit more. No one picks those R&B groups. Nobody picks the lead singer. Do you know that? It's like the audience picks the lead singer.
Mm-hmm.
When Destiny's Child came out, it was those four girls. Like you hear the vocals, you couldn't really separate. But everybody just went to it went from 4 down to 2, and then you tried to go to 2, then it was Beyonce. You see what I'm saying? Look at a lot of those 5 heartbeats and all those movies and stuff. You see it, right? And that's not the most creative person is the person who doesn't sing the best. He's the one, but he writes every song. So it just gets crazy, right? But if you're all family of blood, you can work through all that. But if you're not, it gets, like you said, it gets nutty. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's what I find, man. But it's interesting you said that. I had that same thing, and it's crazy to have that lineage. But it makes you a better solo artist to be in a group because you know how to create. I think if you just remain a solo artist and don't go through groups, your path is it's a harder path.
Yeah. No, I could agree with that. But yeah, I mean,
there's a lot of learning. You know what I mean? Like you went through a lot of learning. The learning you get in a group. That's what I'm saying, right? I saw Wyclef the other day. It was crazy about the Fugees. I told director Austin, I think I sent it to you, Austin. I think I did. And I sat down, I just took it in. And that's how he said he made the Carnival. He goes, I never went to even have done one of those crazy albums like that too. Like he doesn't regret any of it. And he goes, they never really broke up. We just never really got back together in between, right? So it's just interesting, right? But and look at all the solo records that Lauren's solo career, right? Like once she branched off, right? What she left.
Mm-hmm.
So if she didn't go through the group, they didn't go through that group process, you would have never had that solo career, that amazing solo career. It's hard to be solo artist, dude.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a lot harder. Especially if you ain't got a work ethic. I mean, that's the problem with a lot of solo artists is the work ethic is not there. And I think that's why a lot of solo artists have a hard time being as successful as they could be, even if they're talented, because you could have all the talent in the world, but if you have zero work ethic and your professionalism is in the ditch, I mean, people aren't going to like you, and you ain't really going to get far unless you got somebody behind you doing all the work for you. So
there's a lot of talented people out there, so people can move on and wait. That's what people realize get to. You know what I mean? There's a lot of talented people, man.
Do you think it goes the same way with like a group if you're talking about having work ethic? If it's just one person that's doing all the work and 2 other people don't have that work ethic, do you find that that's kind of a clash?
It's definitely a clash, and that's something that's definitely a big part of what happened in my group personally. Like I said, like I'm constantly working. I got a shows. I mean, yeah, earlier on, they got shows and stuff or whatever, and then you find out like one of the dudes was like he got married, and then it basically it was nothing more than a hobby to him. It wasn't something he fully wanted to do. So like, his work was just kind of sitting back and, if we need to come together and do an album, that's cool. And then it got to a point where I was like, man, I'm sick of paying for studio time. I've been mixing my own shit. Why don't you guys just let me mix and master the record? Because I think that the shit that I've been putting out sounds pretty good, and then we don't need to pay for studio time no more. And then they're like, oh no, we should go to the studio. And I'm like, well, I could do this. And then when I did do it, then I'm starting to do everybody's shit. You know what I'm saying? Then they're like, oh, okay. So maybe I should have just let us keep going to the studio, because once I became the dude that was mixing and mastering, I was mixing and mastering people's solo shit. I was mixing and mastering my own shit, group shit, like all that shit. And then I'm doing graphics, and then I'm putting, I'm doing the graphic design for the group albums. I'm finding shows. I can only imagine if we were still a group today, I'd be booking the tours, I'd be getting the interviews. You know what I'm saying? It's just like
Yeah, you just be the one man army.
There's just so many things that that I've learned to do over the years, and some of them I hate. Like I hate booking tours. I hate doing it, but I've somehow become pretty good at doing it. But I can't stand booking tours, and I also don't like I don't really like the media, the advertising. I don't really like doing that, but I know how to do it. So like I know how to do write-ups.
Yeah,
I know how to send out to blogs. I have my whole blog list. I got all that I've built up over the years, and so like I've learned how to do all these things, and yeah, it's definitely made my work ethic a go type thing. And yeah, I mean, if you're sitting around in the background as a group person, when it comes time to where you actually have to work, you don't know how to fucking work. So I think it definitely clashes and hurts the group as a whole.
And Thrust and I know exactly what you're talking about right now. We won't get into it, but you know, kind of going through a little bit of that right now. But you know, it is something that's going to happen when you have a collaboration of a bunch of people together, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. That's definitely what happens.
Yeah, it's just it's like stress. There's levels of it though. You know what I mean? It's like abuse though. There's levels. It's like that degree commercial. It's like that degree commercial. You know that degree commercial? The computer goes like this. Yo, people just try to keep it in like that little range. It's gonna happen.
Yeah, I hate.
You know what I'm saying? It's gonna happen, but why is it always gonna be like flatlining in the red? So you know what I mean? That's the problem, man.
And that's
you know what I mean?
yeah, and that's the thing. Like I'm at an age, I'm at a level of my life where I'm not trying to be stressed over music. I want to be excited about it. I want to look forward to it. I want to be happy with the music I'm making. If something's stressing me out in music, that ain't the direction I need to be doing.
Yeah, we were talking earlier about how our energy and our energy is expensive, man. You know what I mean? Wherever you put your attention, your energy is going. So it's like it's a value on that. And I'm putting the cap on this year, 2022. Oh man, we know we all talk. You know, we talk. We know, but it's for when it's needed, like a good fighter. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right. You save your breath. You save your energy, man. I don't waste my energy. Right. I got things I really want, and I want to do. Like you said it best. We want to make. We can. That's the one thing we kind of have control over as we breathe in this air here. Is like what's enjoyable for us in a way. You know what I mean? Especially when it comes to our extracurricular. This is our extracurricular. This is not, I'm not on the clock. So when I'm doing this, right, I have that choice. You're right. And we worked hard enough and we situated ourselves. You know what I mean? We made a lot of sacrifices that a lot of people ain't making. You know what I mean? Self-taught. That's how I'm able to send stuff to you too. Nobody told me. Nobody put no gun to my head. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just went and I got to learn to do this. And if I can't learn, I got to get a mentor over here. I got to drive and pick up this guy, bring him over here and drive him back so this can work. I got to invest in all this, in this equipment. Yeah. Not the average one, the good one. And it's the research too. The research takes so much time. Like, you know, we're working on, me and director Austin working on getting a piece of equipment, and look at the amount of time we put in. It's not in our hands yet. We've been right. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So you had to do the same thing. That's that. So yeah, but it's awesome. So how did you connect with the label 100 Mad Black Buffalo? Like, how did you reach out to them? You heard what they were doing. Like, how did you decide your process? A lot of people like. Decided to, like, for me for a long time, I always knew I wanted to be indie. Yeah. Right? I knew I wanted to be indie because I went to school for music and I worked in a major. Yeah. So when I was at a major for 5 years on the inside, I already knew the game, right? So, and then I was an artist. And my projects were like you. I always licensed. I always wanted to make my music and license it. You know what I mean? So that's how I got all my releases up. So, but what made you go that route? Or was there a time where you were like, I'm going to get signed? You know, the EPMD, please listen to my demo.
Yeah, I think the only time that I even thought about a demo was when I put together my first real solo album. Like I put a bunch of tracks together, and I actually think I did send it out to a couple places. I think I sent it out to what was popular then, Baby Grand.
Yeah,
Baby Grand was doing things. I sent it
I
out to
remember
them.
Yeah.
I actually think I did send a demo out to Ruckus at one point because I just thought it was
would have
cool.
been a good Ruckus artist, dude. If Ruckus would have stayed around, you would have had that because with company flow. Who else was on? Yeah, J Live was on there too, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of people on Ruckus at one point.
No, but it was kind of I see the way like the artists, right? It would have fit. Thurston Howell was on that.
I was actually told the reason why Ruckus folded. Did you ever hear that story?
Dude, I was just about to ask. You read my mind. Speak, brother. Speak.
Did you ever hear the story?
I heard a little bit of it, but this is your interview, so
I actually heard one of and like I said, this is a story that was told to me. So I never asked the actual people. I didn't ask the actual people, obviously, but this is a story that was told to me by NASA, who used to do all the mixing and mastering at Def Chooks, and was closely direct with LP and everything like that with the company flow thing.
Company flow,
and he actually was doing a lot of mixing for random songs at Ruckus Records. And randomly, I was in a studio because I used to be on Uncommon Records. I put out a couple records under them, which was like the Def Jux brother label after Def Jux folded. And I put out a couple records under them. Shouts to Uncommon NASA for letting me get down on there earlier on. But I remember sitting in the studio with him, and he was randomly telling the story about, did you ever hear about how Ruckus Records folded? And I was like, nah, I never heard any of that. And he told me, well, what happened was Kool G Rap signed a huge multi-million-dollar deal with Ruckus, and he was one of the first artists where they gave like $1 million some dollar advance to him, and his records flopped on Ruckus, and they basically didn't have the budget to cover that. They were expecting to make all that money back, and they lost big money on G Rap's releases, which basically caused them not being able to fund the rest.
There was a funding issue with them, and that's why that's like it was. But from what I heard, it was like it just overspending. Overspend like just not budgeting.
Well, I mean that's overspending.
But that's part of not budgeting, right? That's the part you're not budgeting, though, right? Because
but at the time, you got to think like nobody would expect a G Rap record to flop at that point in time, really.
And at that time, you didn't have you didn't have the digital stuff, right? You didn't have the digital stuff for people to download and stuff. So it was all on record. So you were expecting to make that money based on all of those records coming out, right?
I'm trying to think the time if how that would have played out though, because that G-Rap record I'm trying to think what record that would have been. That was like the last album. But the last album I remember the cover was like purple cover. Oh man. But that record didn't do up. I don't know if that was on that. But maybe they signed him, they gave him something, and it was something with that. There's something because the weird thing about Ruckus is the weirdest thing about it is nobody really knows. And it's not public. Go on, if we get off this thing and go search Ruckus, what happened? You don't know. It's like it's unheard of.
Yeah.
And it's scary. It's scary because that was that time. If you look at that time, that's right. That time when everything got white. That was that time, man. That was no, dude. That was that the Viacom time. That was the time when everything got white. If you don't hip hop when they came, man. Rap, that's when BT, the bass would change. That's when they wiped everything. That's when the J Prince, Murder Inc. thing went down. that was riding that window.
I mean, and there's a
That
lot of
magic
records,
window everybody talks about.
and
If
there's
you
a
were
lot
like
of
a
labels.
conspiracy theorist and all that, hey, what did they do to him? What they play him? It was right then, and we don't know that story. We don't know that story, and it's never talked about. So the fact that it's never talked about, the fact that it was one of those underground hip hop labels in the indie, but it was an indie to a major, right? So that tells you too, right? So
yeah.
That's why it's good to be independent, man. Being independent is the best.
Yeah, and independent is like I said. I mean, that's you know, Cypher Den Music or Cypher Den is not a label; it's a brand. So it's not like I'm not out here putting out artists or nothing like that. Cypher Den is basically the brand behind my independent movement, and I got a couple other MCs that are down that believe in the same thing, which those artists are, you know, I incorporate them on projects like my homie Urban Legend, Rambunctious, and BoFat is technically part of Cypher Den Music. So shouts to all them. You know, we're all down together. It's my little circle, but it's not a label. It's more a brand. But I put everything out. You know, I throw the Cypher Den logo on it, whatever. But as far as
that's going to do it for part 1 of this episode. Thank you very much for tuning in. And don't forget to check out our next episode for part 2 with Taiyamo Denku.